Hello, welcome everyone to the 2023 series of Mancos Wellness Talks. This year our topic is aging with grace and wellness. And so we'll have 4 talks. This is the every month for the next 4 months. And this we have, besides tonight, we have nutrition, we will have brain health and mental health, and then we will have a menopause, perimenopause combined event. So it's all about how do we try to help ourselves on our wellness journey in the best way we can. And I'm about to introduce Kate, but I did want to shout out that next month on August 16th, we will have Anna Perotti from Alpenglow Therapy, and she's going to be the one that will be talking about mental and brain health. And so it's always third Wednesdays at 6 at the library. So I'd like to introduce Kate Voiles. She's tonight's speaker, and she will be speaking on movement and fitness. And we'll let Kate take it away.
All right.
Thank you
so much. Thank you all for being here and hopefully watching later. And thank you, Victoria, for putting on these wellness talks. I have a little story which I will share briefly here in a moment to why health and wellness became so critical to me in my life and my family's life. So if I get a little teary, you'll know why, because I have a story. So stay tuned. So I started Aspire Life Wellness really for helping women get well and empower themselves for their own and take charge of their own health and wellness. And I became a certified health and life coach just about 2 years ago now. And I specialize in healthy habit change because in general, we all know pretty much how to take care of ourselves. The question is, do we do it, right? So that's the real key tonight. I hope you leave here with being super excited about moving your body and why it's so important on so many levels. We're also going to talk a tad about a little bit of brain health, a little bit how sleep and nutrition ties in, but we're going to talk a lot about activity and movement, why it's so important for our brain, our mind, and our body. So I will begin. Okay, well, so welcome again. Today we're talking about why movement is so key, and hopefully at the end you'll not only understand why it's so important, but what is aging and what really is important about aging, which not a lot of people understand. So today's goal, like I say, is empowerment over our own wellness. And aging, there really is 2 types of aging, right? So it's the aging we all think about on our birthday, how many times we've been around the sun. But there's the other more important aging. What is that? Anyone have a guess?
Well, the way you think about aging?
Yes. And specifically, our biological and cellular age. Because if you think about health, does it really matter how many times you've been around the sun? Or does it really matter what our cells think in our body and our brain? That's the important one. And that's the one that we have power over. We have more control over, right? At least somewhat. And that's what we're talking about today. I want to ask first, do you have concerns about aging? I'm 57, I'll be 58 this year. So, yeah, we all have like these questions about aging. Does any of you think 1 or 2 things that really come up when you think about as you get older? Is there any concerns or thoughts that you want to share?
Well, I think that you're probably going to touch on it, why it's so important to move. I mean, I'm I'm almost 50 and moving sucks. It's hard to get out and go and move because I don't have energy. And I think that's why I came, Kate, is to hear what you had to say about that. Because, you know, when I was 30, yes,
Yeah.
I could do all of that stuff.
Right.
But now I'm like,
Yeah.
it's too high outside. I'm too tired. My feet hurt. I just want to put them up. So I think that's my biggest concern and why I was interested in coming is because I am very interested to hear what you have to say about that. And
Okay.
surely I'm not the only person, the only woman out there that feels this way.
No, I don't think so. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And then, you know, all the menopause stuff kicks in and then
Yeah.
you get all these other cortisol issues
Right.
that come in with it, and then it's like, no, it's just much easier to stay. But, you know, overcoming some of these barriers, I think, is why I came. So yes, those are my concerns. personally.
Okay. Great, yeah, so you have there's a lot of hurdles.
Yes.
It's just so easy, it's like, oh, there's this now, where I didn't used to have those barriers. Anyone else wanna share?
I think everything this lovely lady just said.
Okay,
said
ditto.
that I really am concerned about limitations as I grow older. And of course, by not moving, I increase the chances, so, you know, yeah.
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 So we're in somewhat of agreement. And usually too, when we talk about aging anymore these days, there's always the topic that comes up about, you know, just up here. Everybody wants to be mentally aware as we age. And that is a growing concern. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that and how movement also plays in with what you're
Well,
saying.
and that's the other thing,
Energy.
is you can go to the gym and talk to these exercise people all you want, and they're just gonna pound into your head that, you know what, you have to make this decision for yourself, that you wanna do this and you wanna get out and move. Well, yes, I wanna get out and move, but my God, I have my foot is swollen, it hurts. So how am I gonna get out and move if I'm in pain? If there's
Right.
physical pain, then what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So that's been kind of my experience, so I'm curious to hear what the next session has to say about your mental brain getting over that. Because a lot of it is psychological.
Right.
But how do you get over that part of it when you have a physical element that's keeping you down?
Yeah. And that makes it more tough, for sure.
So,
And there are ways around it, but I'll explain. I
Yes.
also had a physical thing that I had to work around too, so I feel you. Overcome exercise barriers, which can be physical, like you talked about, and mental. How can we begin again a healthier movement? Oh, what do I do? Just click on it?
Yep.
Come back.
There you go.
Wait, I've revealed my secret for next time.
I just
No, I'm so fascinated.
It always advances.
I'll have to go through these
advances.
quicker, I guess. And some other ones like I noted. So a little bit of background on aging, what actually happens when we age, how to encourage wellness when we age, how to exercise effectively and understand how to begin reducing your biological age, hopefully tomorrow. So when you leave this room, I want you to feel like I have a little bit more control about my age, my biological age, which is what's important. And just easier ways to create a healthier you. Now, I want you to feel now, good. And down the road, you want to limit your risk of age-related diseases and illnesses, right?
Yes.
We're all in this together.
Mhm.
We all agree. Okay, so why am I here today speaking? Real brief, because we have a lot to cover. So I was diagnosed with a really kind of a rare thing. 2% of the population has it. I was having balance, sound, weird bodily sounds, stress, just all of a sudden just not feeling right. Well, with a CT scan, they determined that the bones around my inner ears had holes. So I had pretty bad vestibular balance issues, found myself headachy, not able to drive well, crying on hikes. Anytime I tried to challenge my body physically, it would literally be so stressed, I would cry. Because crying, is a way of relieving stress. So as an active family and a mom of 2 boys, and I thought, wow, it's gonna be a problem for my health and happiness, especially when I found out that it's a deteriorating condition and many people end up bedridden. So what did I do after talking to the neurosurgeon one of the leading neurosurgeons at UCLA, Dr. Isaac Yang, said to me in a consult, this is a little bit during COVID even, and he said, after your brain surgery, which we'll have to do on both sides, you will have about 6 months where you rewire your brain. It has to relearn. And we talked a little bit about neuroplasticity, and that is the ability for your brain to rewire and learn. And I got off the call with him and I thought, what if it's possible to rewire my brain now? Why do I wait until after surgery? Surgery was $500,000 too, by the way. So I was like, let's try this first. So I set out on this journey, really researching like crazy, went to school, got online certified as a health coach, because I decided I was gonna do everything in my power to regain my life. So I did, and I've done pretty well. So what was my passion? Oh my gosh, if I could do it, so many other people could do it as well, with other kinds of conditions and just normal stuff, right? The normal hurdles, normal barriers that we all face. So now my passion is to help you and everyone else that wants to be, that would listen. And so here's a few fun facts, because a lot of it has to do with our mind, because our brain is basically in charge, the computer, of everything in our lives, right? It's everything in our body. Exercise relieves stress by boosting chemicals that relax and nourish the brain. Blood flow, of course, is important, but also it sends nutrients and hormones to relax and promote cognitive function. Research has established that aerobic exercise enhances the flow of blood to the brain and enhances function of neurotransmitters and cognitive function. So it helps develop new neurons and mitochondria. So mitochondria, if you remember your science, which I didn't, but in 7th grade or what have you, but those are the engines in every cell. Those are your engines. That's what creates energy for your body to do anything at all. Without mitochondria, we're not here. So mitochondria is really the answer. So we better look at how we keep our mitochondria healthy, right? Because it's in charge of everything: movement, cognitive, digestive, everything in our bodies. So, and of course, we all know that exercise helps our blood pressure, our heart, our bones, right? That's pretty much all we know all that about exercise. It's basically free. What else is free? If I were to say, hey, here's a pill that does all these things, it's free. Movement is the most powerful gift that you can give yourself. It strengthens every part of you. It helps relieve stress, as we noted, encourages feel-good hormones to flow, helps your mood, assists in maintaining a healthy weight, strengthens bones, nourishes every cell in our body. So activity helps with cognitive, of course, age-related illnesses and diseases, encourages deep sleep, which is when our bodies actually clean the brain of waste. So when we think and when we do things cognitively during the day, our brain actually creates these proteins that are waste. And if we don't have deep sleep, that's when the body goes in there, and that's when the guys come in and they clean that waste away. Guess what's bad for mitochondria in your neurons, in your cells, in your brain? Guess. The protein waste. Oh. So deep sleep is so important. It happens typically in your earlier cycles of sleep. So going to bed earlier does help. I always, and remember to hydrate, right? So it assists, exercise assists with insulin resistance, cardiovascular health, helps the body to combat inflammation, which we've all been talking a lot about inflammation and health lately. Balancing hormones, meaning really bumping up the good hormones, decreasing the ones that aren't so great, like cortisol. Engages the lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system is our sewer system, right? And it also houses a lot to do with our immune system. Combats anxiety, mood swings, depression. So, back to kind of what we were talking about before, mindset matters. So if regular exercise is so critical to our overall wellness, which we just talked about, it does so many things, why do we struggle to do it?
Exactly, amen.
Ding, ding, ding. First of all, don't give yourself a break, because our first and foremost focus, our brain, our primal brain, is focused on survival. And survival programmed us by saying, reserve your energy, because you might need it in an emergency, right? Mm-hmm. And so our brain is like, no matter what happens, I want you surviving. So we aren't really lazy. Our programs, our DNA is programmed and that way to reserve energy for when you need it. So long ago, of course, we were using more of that emergency mode, more often than we do now. Now we just have, of course, this kind of more chronic stress. And I just want to say right here, because I don't know how long a time we'll have, but one thing you can leave here today in your note in your mind, please, that anytime you are feeling stress, the best thing to do is to move your body, because the stress will surge up that cortisol. That cortisol has to be cleared from your body. Our body was made to, when it's under stress, running from a tiger or what have you, right? Your body needs to move. The other thing that they say is the new smoking is sitting and stressing. So if sitting and stressing is the new smoking, don't sit and stress, right? So get yourself up and just move. That if you can do that, if you can just be in your mind worrying about something and you just say, I remember Kate said that, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna do jumping jacks. I'm gonna go up the stairs. Whatever you can do, start moving your body. You're not only gonna feel better, it's gonna be so much more healthy for you now, and remember, in the future, because we're always thinking about down the road, right, for our health. So I thought I'd throw that in there because it's super important. So now it's all about you use it or lose it. And that is so true. Since we're not in those emergency situations, the body is actually getting feedback to the brain. And it's saying either one or the other. It says there, grow me, send me nutrients, or decay me. So the body is sending back, grow or decay. Well, we don't want anything to decay, not yet. And it's a very efficient system if you think about it, because why would you need to waste vital nutrients on something not being utilized? So when you use your muscles, you grow lean muscle mass, you use your brain, you grow connections and new neurons in your brain. You make new mitochondria. So the good news is the mitochondria does die, and it also dysfunctions. And that's the other key to aging. Actually, the mitochondria actually stops working right. And so super important to make sure that you're making new mitochondria, which exercise and movement does. And therefore, we can always rewire, reprogram our minds to serve us better. So mindset matters, because if we develop a healthy mindset to exercise, we're gonna automatically just wanna do it more. And that's what we wanna get to. We don't wanna make it a chore. So the other thing we wanna do is seek pleasure. So our brains are wired to seek pleasure. So once it's surviving, it now wants to be having a good time. So we must associate pleasure with positive feelings and emotions with our exercise, and that's what my Kate's Brain and Body Quick workouts do. Because I realized the importance when I was dealing with, the fact that I couldn't even balance at first. I couldn't even do some of these exercises at first because I would fall over. I stopped being able to do the elliptical at the gym. It was making me really dizzy. Now I didn't know if I was going to fall and hurt myself. So I had to really put a lot of focus on, I had to really truly be positive, be truthful and positive, and start associating something good out of what I was trying to do to better my life, my existence. So if we want to exercise more regularly, we have to associate it with a good feeling. Because if you're not going to want to do something, if it's not associated with, yeah, I love doing it, it's enjoyable, it's fun, right? So that's the key to what I help people get there, and depending on what those barriers are. So, of course, the brain loves to feel good, and through exercise, you're going to release dopamine and endorphins, which are good. They relax and they feel good. They're natural pain relievers in the body. But our culture has kind of changed this feel-good movement almost into a chore. So I want to make sure that you don't feel that way about movement. Movement should be looked at as a gift, not anything that I have to do. Or, oh gosh, I'm worried that I'm not moving, and therefore I'm worried that I'm going to be unhealthy later. And that all, guess what that does? It just adds stress to our lives that we don't need. So we really just need to do what's comfortable for us and start in little steps toward the positive, and start bumping up the positive and slowly removing some of the negative, and start feeling better and getting that energy going. So I guess too, I want to just point out one thing before we go to the next slide. Joy and stress live in different places in the brain. So if you know you're stressed and you're down here in your, what we call the primal or survival brain, that's where stress lives. So in my workouts, I make people, understand that's where they are if they're stressed. And little tricks on how to, your mind commands your brain, I no longer want to be here. I want to be in my human mind, my prefrontal cortex, and there are triggers which we will do when we do that. So, we talked about the sitting and stressing and smoking, so we'll move on. The brain, mind, and wellness. Real quickly, just so you understand, what's good for our muscles is good for the brain. So when I'm working out, I literally am saying to myself, I know I'm strengthening not only my muscles, but I'm strengthening my brain for real. Why is that? Because exercise actually increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF, that's why they call it BDNF.
That's one of the times we're like, thank you for the acronym.
There are so many of these words, oh my God.
Yeah.
It plays a role in neuron survival and growth, okay? So your cells in your brain, it serves as a neurotransmitter coordinator almost. It aids in plasticity, which makes you learn. That's essential for learning, essential for memory. So we're all kind of concerned with this whole memory thing and dementia, and memory is critical, and that's retrieval and formation. So both forming it and retrieving it. So it helps with that. Both aerobic and strengthening exercises are imperative for our brain. And if it helps it even enlarge the hippocampus actually when you exercise for memory as well. And we talked a little bit, but I just want to, the mind, if you think of the mind being the computer program. And then the brain being the actual computer, and then your body being the monitor. And that's kind of how I think about your mind. Your mind can actually think thoughts and say, you know what, that thought is not helping me. That's your mind. Your brain is more like, these are the thoughts I'm shooting out. I don't know where I got them from. I could have got it from TV last night or whatever, right? But your mind knows better. And that's what true empowerment is that you start understanding that you have that ability over your brain. So we want to talk about, obviously, a positive, healthy mindset, regular activity, effective hydration and nourishment. I talk a lot about in my program how to hydrate more effectively because I never drank enough water. I use an electrolyte that has no sugar, that's amazing, and nourishment, just finding easy ways to get nourishment and making sure that your body is truly nourished so that you have the energy, because that's truly a lot of what happens is we're eating food and unfortunately it's not really nourishing us all the time because of our standard American diet. Regular healthy sleep, which we touched on already, and then continuous stress management. So you want to think about releasing stress, relieving stress, and limiting it where you can. One amazing way to relieve stress, I've noticed, because I used to, like I say, with my condition, had it really bad, is to combine the two. And that's when I started thinking about this idea of the brain and body workout, which we're going to do here in a minute. And the idea is to, when you're in motion, let's say you're just on a walk and you're enjoying your walk, you can also meditate and go into the present moment and breathe and relax your mind. And that is meditation in motion. So you get a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1 deal there. Okay, movement guidelines. So here's just some guidelines. And again, I want to first say, I have this in the notes too. So we'll just go through it. But if you want to pick up a handout on the table, and then that way you have all this info for later. You don't have to memorize it or be concerned. So what I don't want movement to be for you is that diligent, like I gotta do 10,000 steps a day, I gotta do my aerobic, I gotta do my 2-3. So I've implemented a program where I start doing it all the time, and often during my day. So for example, I'm standing here right now, and you don't know it, but right now I'm doing resistance work on my glutes and my abs, but you don't know it, right? All I'm doing is contracting my muscles here and here, and you don't even know it. And I'm doing something for my brain also, right? So that's just how I think now. That's just how like when I'm making dinner, I'm moving, I'm always, when I'm driving, and I help ladies when they are sitting at a desk and they literally have these breaks to just take a minute to do a mental and body break. You can certainly even contract your muscles in a very easy form by just putting your toes out when you do a squat down, squeeze back here, and press here. Now I'm working my arms. Now I'm buttoning up my abs. And right now, just doing this, I'm getting a full body resistant workout because I'm working my arms. I can feel it in my shoulders and my stomach, my abs, my quads, and my glutes. And I'm just gonna hold it there. And then I also always positively think back. What am I doing? I'm self-caring. Thank you, body, for, and I'm always talking to myself when I'm doing things like that, when I'm exercising. And I'm, good for you. And thank you, body. And thank you. And I'm doing these things because I'm worth it. And every little thing that I do throughout my day, which I try to encourage people to do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 midday, 5 around dinner time, 5 before bed. 5 minutes just to do these few simple things. And it changed my life.
Nice.
It changed my life, and that's why it's not all about like, oh, I gotta go to the gym. No, I got 5 minutes. I'm gonna do what's good for me. And that's super important. So these are guidelines for health. Please take the handout so because I don't wanna waste time. I think we're kind of pushing a little
No,
bit.
you're not
Okay.
rushed at all.
Okay,
No.
Take your time.
okay, okay, good. So being aware of anything and mindful is the beginning of any solution to any problem, right? You can't solve a problem if you're not really aware of it. So that is why I kind of like these devices. I go, oh, okay, I'm aware that I didn't sleep very well last night. And I was shocked that in my recovery with SSCD and the stress I need a lot of sleep. My brain needs to rest. What I didn't realize is that I wasn't going into deep sleep as much as I would really like to. So they say it's anywhere from 13 to 23%. So if you want to, I put 20% just because it's easy to remember. But 13 to 23% of your sleep should be REM and deep. So let's say 20% REM, 20% deep sleep.
Okay.
As you get older, we tend to, I don't know, I'm sure if I like this or not, but we tend to not have as high a percentage of deep and REM sleep. So just keep that in mind.
Like light?
We have less of it
We have,
typically.
okay.
Yeah,
So we're sleeping more in a light mode.
yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah,
That's definitely happening to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell, because when you're in a deep sleep, you're woken up and you're like, well, what? Who? And then you're a light sleep, it's like a pin can drop and you're like, hello?
Yep.
And was that my son? Right? Like you're not really asleep. So anyway, so if you're counting steps, or if you've heard that so many times, you're like, oh my goodness. I just want to say the research shows that once you go to like a little over 3 miles is really what 7,500 steps, and that could be strides. So that could be on your bicycle. That could be in the pool swimming. So don't just think it's not just steps. It's movement. It's a stride, and you really walk a lot just in an average day. But if you can always go, I know research says that if I walk like 3.5 miles a day, that's 7,500 steps, that I know I'm really doing myself a big favor. There's a big jump in research with that one, just the amount of walking. The next goal might be the 10,000, which is 4 to 5 miles for women. Make it fun and enjoyable, not a chore, and move to feel good. Don't overdo it. So a lot of what people do when they start, they get all excited, okay, I'm gonna move, and then they overdo it, then they injure themselves, there's too sore to move, and then it just that spiral. So just be really mindful of that. Just try little steps in the right direction is all we're hoping for, all we need, okay? And it's really the idea that we have to work out an hour, 2 hours a day isn't, sure, if you can and want to, great, but it is not necessary for health. When it comes to exercise, quality over quantity. And so when I'm helping people work out, we use a lot of like I did earlier, many muscles so that you're effectively working out one, so you're not isolating like one area, you're really getting an effective workout. And I also do workouts that are not that strenuous, but man, they work. So like literally you can just hold your arms and resist and push up. And you do that a few times, and you do that again a few times, you're gonna feel it back here, I promise you. And that was like, I did that while I was in line at the whatever, right? Like, people might think, okay, that's really odd what she's doing over there, but, you know, oh well, I'm gonna be doing this in line. I'm not gonna just stand there. I'm gonna do what's good for my body and brain, thank you very much. So, my kids laugh sometimes, but anyway, I don't care because I'm doing awesome, and that's what matters, right? Our health. So, aerobic exercise, if you take 220 minus your age, let's say it's 50, your max heart rate would be 170. So when you start doing aerobic exercise, you want to aim for that 60 to 70 in the beginning. As you work up, you can go to 80. But that's really a healthy place to start. And of course, you know, I want to say too, anytime you start anything new with health, exercise, diet, check in with your practitioner. I do work with one, but just, you know, make sure, because obviously I'm not a doctor.
And quick question about the formula there. So your max heart rate, I get that part, but then with aerobic exercise, heart rate 60 to 70%. So then, like if I did mine, I just got my calculator out, so it's like around 110 or 112.
Yep.
So that's what I'm trying to shoot for. Okay, that's really good to know, because when I do work out, I have my watch and I check my heart rate when I'm doing that. And
yeah,
like
and
I'll check
just 60
when
to
I'm,
80.
you know, when I'm meditating, what's my lowest
when you're
heart rate?
resting, like
That's
50.
like that one time Carol was laughing at me because she's like, I've never known anyone to take their heart rate when they're meditating. And I'm like, well, it's really easy.
Yeah,
Press
to
the
see
button.
what your resting rate is compared to, and it's the lowest when you're in deep sleep.
Okay.
That's the lowest. That's when your body really, really slows down, gives yourself a break. And so does that answer your question? So yes, you did the math right. Yeah.
Okay.
20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week as a guideline. But here's the thing. If you're not exercising much, or you, like you say, you're busy, blah, 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 you got a lot going on, break that down and let's make that 2 10s, 4 5s. I'm telling you, people will say that doesn't matter, that won't do a thing. Don't listen to them. If they say, oh, that's not gonna do it. Like my son, who is quite the specimen now, works out twice a day, he's in football, and he probably thinks, you know, Mom, really, 5 minutes. But then he goes, you know, Mom, you look better than you ever have. And you're old. He's 16. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay. Maybe she knows a thing or two. So strength and resistance work. So when we're talking strength, I don't mean, you know, you don't have to go to the gym and, you know, do all that. You can if you want, be careful. But resistance work is really just what I did earlier with the squat. And I'm not a big sit-up crunch person, much better to plank. It's much more natural for your body, and there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help. And the other thing too I want to poke in here is, if you have questions, if you need some answers, I'm here to help. That's my main objective. So never feel like, oh, I shouldn't call her, message her. Please do. That's why I have a Facebook page also that I hope helps people. And anyway, that's on the handout as well, that info.
So planking, you said there's different ways to do it?
Oh, well, yeah. You can side plank. You can do straight arm here, straight arm. You can do
On the floor?
yeah. And then you can do like this with weights. So
Can
like,
you do plank against the wall?
Oh.
yes,
I mean,
you can.
some kind
Yes,
of
absolutely.
exercise.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just, you know, your back is straight arm. You can do down and then back up. That's a good one. You can have a weight here and do this, like that. And planking, so let's say I'm here. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna make sure I'm breathing, and I'm also gonna do all the things that we were talking about. I'm a little out of breath because I've been talking so much, but you know, when you're down there planking, instead of watching the clock, I'll set a timer and I'll just start my mindset. I'll just start talking to myself about what I'm doing, how it's good for my body, my brain. Also, a little trick is think about what I'm grateful for and things like that. And it's a positive feeling. So then you start associating this kind of positive place with the planking. And instead before you're like, oh my God, this minute is the longest minute I've ever had, right? So it's just tricks that I found to be helpful. Because I can tell you, so when I was first diagnosed and it was bad, I could not do this. So leg up, straight, and arm. I would do that would be me. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, but now I can do it. And I may not be able to do the fancy yoga poses, but I can do so much more, and I can go on hikes, can do that. I can lunge. I used to fall over when I did this. And a little trick with a lunge is if you do feel a little wobbly, move this leg out so you're a little bit more diagonal with your leg in front. So, you know, if you're here and you're like, oh, that feels a little funny, just move this leg out. And it's just a little bit more comfortable. Lunges, squats, planking, those are so good for you.
So then Alice, you said something about planking against the wall?
Oh yeah, sorry. So you can do this, and you can also do push-ups, right?
So you're planking against the wall is just further feet out.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can use a wall for planking. I find that, you know, on the floor you're gonna have more resistance. But yeah, you can start anywhere. You can also do it just like a push-up. You can start on your knees. So, you know, you're like, I don't want to do that yet. Start here, just like you would doing a push-up. And it's better to do a push-up from your knees than not do it because this is too hard, right? So better to start on the knees and work yourself up. Because the other thing too I want to say is I'm nowhere near, I'm evolving. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So I have my biological age tested. I'm like at 40. I'm like, I'm going for my 30s. And even though I'm getting older, obviously. And you know, it's just, I don't know, it's about making it almost a game and fun, because I know how much it's helped me, that I put the energy, you know, toward it. So, okay. So I guess we were talking about BDNF and the mind versus the brain. So it's all a cycle. Here's the thing, when we sleep well, we want to exercise more because we have more energy. We're in a better mood. We want to nourish our bodies and engage in regular movement. Your mind and thoughts seem to be healthier. You manage stress. They all kind of start working together and create momentum. And that's what I really try to do with people. It's all about all these little things, little improvements in each area. And so there was a moment when I said to myself, wow, I'm really spiraling down, really, and quickly. And I thought, wow, if I don't turn this around, it's gonna get bad quick. So the same is true. If one, you can either have all these things work together and you spiral up with your health and wellness better, right? So that's really my goal, is to kind of kick on all these topics, and that's when it's most effective. I guess we were here, weren't we?
Yeah, sorry, it
so
fell
went
asleep
back.
and then I went.
Yeah, so mix it up, enjoy it. I don't care what it is, make room for a walk after dinner, try something new. You have certain hurdles, feel free to ask me.
So I see you, it said on there like wear wrist or ankle weights.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been reading about this new thing. I'm like, I kind of want to try it. It's called rucking. And it's like you get a rucksack or like a backpack and you put stuff in it and you go on your hike. In effect, you're like backpacking on a short hike, but the weight is giving you resistance and weight while you're walking.
Right.
And I was talking to one of my son's friends. He's just went into the army, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's like really a thing." And that's one of the reasons why, like, you see that in movies that they do it in the army because it's helping
Like
them.
swimming and carrying things. And
It's just adding more to like your walk or your march, or and so
these are handy little guys.
It's like packing your kid around, Victoria.
That's exactly
I lost so much upper body strength when my kids started walking.
right.
Yeah, I know. And didn't we have all really good arms?
Yes,
It's like
we did.
as kids and like so I have these are ankle, and then these are wrist, and I use clean the house. I don't know, put these on, go for a walk, clean the house. It's a little extra. Again, when we do resistance work, that's what it is, we're what? We're a strength, that little picture I want you to think of, that brain working out.
Yeah.
So it's a double win. Win and win. So real quick, nourish our brain and body. So nourishment. Poor diets feed the gut but starves the brain. So boo, we don't like that. So anything that we can do to make sure that our bodies are have nutrients. For example, I don't like to talk a lot about this because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist. But I personally put electrolytes, no sugar, stevia-based electrolytes. I also make sure I put magnesium enough. I read the label. And magnesium is like a guard or protector of mitochondria. So magnesium, it also helps you sleep and is a calming, relaxing. And then sometimes too, like there's some B vitamin stuff and you can put in water. So I figure if I'm gonna be drinking water, I'm gonna wanna hydrate, but I wanna make sure I'm getting my vitamins in that easy, simple way. And it's so easy and it tastes pretty good. And so I drink more water. Nothing about nourishment or activity is an all or none. So just think, if I'm doing something little positive, it's better than just not doing anything at all. So real quick, dementia, Alzheimer's is on the rise, unfortunately. And by 2050, they forecast 1 out of 3 will have dementia. Alzheimer's being the most, common of the dementia. And we need to take better care of our amazing computer between our ears. That stat tells me we need to be diligent about our minds. In the top 3 precursors to dementia, number 3 is inactivity. So if activity really, really helps fight dementia. The other 2, if you're curious, the top 3 is insulin resistance and cardiovascular health. So let's keep our heart healthy and move. And we are way, way ahead of the game when it comes to dementia.
And I think isn't heart disease the #1 killer of women?
Heart disease is still the #1 reason for death. Yeah.
So that's really important.
Yeah. So just by eating more, real foods and watch the processed foods and refined carbs, that's as simple as I can get it. for you. There's a million diets. I don't follow a diet. I really don't like being on quote unquote a diet because I kind of rebel against that. I like to be more listen to my body. I know what's healthy, and I start craving foods like what you see here. I'm like, that is so good for my body and it tastes so good, and I just make sure that my vegetables taste amazing, and I put herbs, you know what I mean, and roast them and get creative with my healthy foods because I want to enjoy food and I want to eat and I want to eat well. Okay, so let's do, you guys can get up if you want, or you can sit and relax and watch me. It's totally up to you, no pressure. So there's a million ways to do these Kate Brain and Body quick workouts. So we're just gonna do a quick little one so you get an idea of what it's all about. And when people say, hey, I'm at my desk, I don't even know if I can do it. It's worth doing it even if you're sitting down, and we can talk more about that later. So research started to come out, tons of research with the functional MRI. And the functional MRI shows when we do certain things, how our brain expands or shrinks. So stress shrinks the brain. So definitely a big deal. So they started putting together like, well, what if you did this every so often? What if these people relieve their stress every so often throughout the day? What if they do this? And they saw such great responses. And I took a course that taught me that when it was not so much movement, and I put the two together and thought this could be good. So I tried it. And I first thought, oh my God, people are gonna think I'm crazy. I have to tell you, sometimes you just have to go a little bit out there and just see what happens. Really trust your intuition. So just start, if you're sitting down, if you're standing up, breathing expansively, which really means think of opening up your chest like this. Really expansive breathing from your chest. And as we get focusing on our breath, we're breathing in goodness, fresh air. We're breathing in creativity. We're breathing out any stress, any negativity, just in your mind, just get rid of it as you breathe. And there's a few ways to do this, but I like this one. It's super simple. Rubbing your fingertips together. You can close your eyes and you can just notice the ridges, how firm or soft, how cold or warm. This is getting you out of your stress brain and into your human mind by focusing on something tangible in one of your senses. This is obviously your touch. And then I think of something I'm grateful for, which a lot has to do with health and wellness for me. So that could be anything for you, but think of something you're grateful for right now in regards to your health or wellness in life. And begin raising your heels and stretching your arms above. And so breathe in as we go up and down. And we're breathing in goodness, happiness. Breathing out anything icky, negative, stressful. I don't have time for that, right? And as you breathe, imagine these things in your mind even. Think about where you want to be with your health, how you see yourself down the road, just in your mind's eye. Just who is that woman that you want to be as you're just breathing in and out. And then you're going to begin moving as you would like. And you're really going to just ask your body what feels good. To me right now, I just kind of want to loosen my hips, move, maybe shape my hands, kind of get everything a little loose. That's what my body says I want to do. I'm going to do what I call power slides, which is just kind of a stretch with the arm and the leg. And I'm just going to do, and it's a little warm in here, and I apologize, but normally, let's get our heart, the whole idea is really to get your heart pumping during this as we're thinking. I'll get it. As we're thinking our positive thoughts, right? And you're moving your body and you're like, oh yeah, this feels good. I'm getting my oxygen to my brain because I'm feeling my heart pump, right? I am working my muscles. I'm creating my lean muscle mass. I'm making a stronger, more effective brain. I'm going to think better tomorrow. I can do step jacks, which are, I can't jump because my head, it doesn't like it. So I do step jacks. You can do
That's
real
hard on
jumping
your
jacks.
knees too.
Yes.
Jumping.
Yes.
Some of us can't jump very well because we go to the bathroom.
Exactly. So again, if you're injured, what about swimming? I got myself a recumbent bike. I put it right in my office. And I thought, if I'm not going to be able to do these other things, I'm going to sit on my you-know-what and do my recumbent bike. And that's just a way that I got around what I normally do. I call these kind of like stand-up crunches, or because it works your core. And when you're working, anything you're doing, think about zipping up that core. Feel that core, and then you can also squeeze. And if you don't want to work out that hard, again, we can go back to resistance. You know, I have a million things you can do that's good for your body. Okay, we got our heart rate up, oxygen to our brain, all that's good stuff. And I'm also, it's warm in here also. So focus on positive but true statements. We touched on that before. So positive thinking doesn't work if you're lying to yourself. I don't know if you've ever thought that. So, you know, there's this whole thing about think positive, and that's really good. But if you're thinking positive and you're thinking, you know, I'm Superwoman, I'm so awesome, and you're not believing that, a better thing to say is, I'm working on Superwoman, and I'm, you know, like, be positive, but don't lie to yourself, because that doesn't work. And so, as we do this, we build our self-esteem. And thinking about what's best for you, you're moving your body, and you give yourself a pat on the back, because starting a new healthy habit is good for your mental and physical health. And remember too, when you're starting any habit, give yourself breaks. Oh, I was gonna do that 5-minute workout. Oh, I forgot. Okay, well, now that you remember, do it now. No big deal. There's no beating ourselves up about anything. Let's just say, you know what, I'll do better next time. How about I set out a plan for my day? And so I do these workouts and I note to myself, well, that's a good time to take my 5 minutes. I'm gonna put an alarm on my phone. So I did that for a long time because I forget. Now I just it's almost like my body goes, oh, I think it's time. I think it's time because my body wants to unload the stress that, you know, my condition is double whammying me with. I have to unload the stress, and it just starts calling you. And then what I've noticed too, as you start moving more and feeling better about that, you kind of start just being, again, more aware of everything. more aware of like, do I really want that? And I do something, if anyone struggles with stress or emotional eating, there's something called EBT, which is really effective. And it just trains you to just kind of pause and check in with yourself and relieve some stress before you eat. Because when you're stressed, you can't digest. Mm-hmm. So we want to get more and more and more into our human mind, our relaxed state, and less in that stressed primal state, okay? So again, aware of it, it's like, oh wait, okay, let me just check in with myself. Let me give myself 2 minutes. You can literally do this it's effective if you literally do it for like 60 seconds, just to check in with yourself, breathe, and that kind of thing. So repeat every 4 hours throughout your day if you can, this little exercise we did, and you can vary it in a million ways. So in closing, just to review, specifically because we're talking in this series about successful aging, is if you do all these things, and I help people, and I help on the sliding scale too, but I really just want a little bit of, like I say, positive in each of these areas. So they've done many studies on aging, obviously. A lot of people are concerned with aging since we're all doing it. That going back to the cellular and biological age is what counts. So if we engage in regular activity, successful agers, what does that really mean? People that have mental, physical ability for a long time, right? This is what we all want. Partake in nutritious food and effective hydration. Focus on your purpose. Set a new and exciting goal. Keep yourself learning. Obviously, that's really good for your brain. Try new activities, find new interests, evolve, grow, aspire. Hence the name. Reduce and limit your stress. Establish a support network. Seek supportive relationships and coach if desired. So those are the main things that they call the main pillars to successful aging. And it's definitely noteworthy. And back to the research. So we're almost wrapped up here. Habit change becomes automatic is really the goal. Because willpower doesn't get us very far. It works for a while, but then we kind of go back to what our habits. So to truly transform a person, and in coaching, the whole idea is to empower them and do habits to where it just changes them and they become this different person, which anyone can do. I've experienced it, and like I say, it's never over. You're in the driver's seat. You get to choose where and how you want to evolve. We help clients with just healthy tips and hydration hacks, easy, so it's not just like so overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I have to get healthy. Is this going to change my whole life? No, not at all. So the next and last slide. Thank you so much for joining today. I have lots of ideas for movement and different things you can do. I do hope you leave here today knowing that you can reduce your biological cellular age at any age. It's really possible. And if you have something that bothers you, work with someone to just work around it. Because what I've noticed with people is there are ways to heal areas like ankles that are sore, different things. And once you start doing these different kinds of movements, then it frees you up to do other things. But for now, while this is bothering you or something, let's do something that doesn't bother that part of the body. But what they say is the worst thing you can do when someone they see is injured, this is why we have surgery, they want you up and moving really soon now, is that you don't want to make the problem worse by inactivity. So I just want to say, find some way that you can implement, and there can be just simple, get on my little recumbent bike, and that's just fine. So I have on Facebook, this is my page for women, it's Team Fabulous, Women's Wellness, Beauty and Empowerment, and I work with a registered nurse who is a functional medicine practitioner. Her name's Maria Lippman, and she can run tests if needed, talk over results and guidelines. So like she does, she mails a home test, and they do it with like saliva, blood spot, that kind of thing. And she could run different tests if you're interested. But locally, my family has gone to Dr. John Pagnope. He also runs biofeedback, and he does do a test, like for example, to see what your cellular biological age is, among other things, among other markers. If you're interested.
John Pagnope is really great. He actually did a wellness talk for us 2 seasons ago, and he talked all about the endocrine system, and it was fascinating. So
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he really is.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, just your nurses, your doctors, and ask them and say, I personally do a natural hormonal support. So when you talk about menopause and such, I'm through that. But the nurse doctor, they said, hey, your cells are low, you need some hormonal stimulus, and I'm like, okay, well, so I started a supplement that helps my body boost up those hormones naturally. So that's one way. So you do have choices, and I believe totally on the two. Hopefully my son will be a surgeon, bringing in modern medicine with just good old-fashioned health and wellness. And I hope this has encouraged or empowered you in some way. I just really want to thank you for coming. And if there's anything more I can help with, like I say, I'm here. So.
Did you have to have the surgery?
No, I have not.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
And your symptoms
have greatly diminished. Yeah. Driving in a car is still a little stressful for me. There's just too much. There's so much to navigate and go on. But I'm doing pretty good in every other way. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So welcome.
Well, I think we've all been inspired with your story and what you've shared with us, so I really thank you. I know I was taking notes.
Good.
Thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Kate, for being with us here tonight. And I'm looking forward to next month. We will be speaking about brain health and mental health with Anna Perotti. She has Alpenglow therapy here in town, and so it should be another great session. So hope you can join us next month as well.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.